Okay, guys, this is part two of the Harry Potter stuff. Now, how do I feel about with obviously half blooded prince? I mean half blood prince. I already talked about that. Um, how do I felt with what is it? Differently how was part one and two? I thought they were great. My friends thought part one was boring. They fell asleep with it, but when I first watched it, I thought it was fine. It was hyping up to the whole finale and everything, and I knew what it was. I knew what the movie was, and for what we got, it branched out more of what the characters were and the actors to be more chemistry of what they got up their sleeves since they've been knowing each other for since they were fucking goddamn kids, in my opinion. So I thought it was fine. I thought it was, could it be better? Yeah, that I wish that probably some of the story bits were that they had in the book were there probably. Yeah, but overall, it was fine. Part two was amazing. I think part two is wonderful. The whole part of them getting all the Horcruxes to begin with from part one and two is just great to begin with. And then the Battle of Hogwarts is amazing. And then when you see freaking bodies laying down, all the characters you met along the way, all the characters you love and grew up, you were like, what the fuck? For crying out loud, even Ron's ex from what is it? What is it from Blooded Prince? She dies in this movie, and then you can be like, what the fuck? Like that's fucking crazy, And I like the references to the other movies, like you get the troll. I mean, not the troll. You get you get the troll, right? Then you get the freaking spiders and everything like that. You get the werewolf, then the dying friend, which is the girl Ron's ex and shit like that. Shit's awesome. I love those references. Um, then we get Snape, dying, and you find out what Snape really is. Snape is basically he was protecting Harry this whole time, because he was in love with Harry's mom since he was a kid. When I first saw that, I literally dropped my jaw. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. One of the characters that I thought was one of the worst, I mean, the best villains basically that I thought became one of the best heroes of all time, in my opinion. That is one of the best characters in movie history, in my opinion, and best maybe character in book history. It depends who you talk to, but I believe some people that enjoy the movies they'd be like, no, this is really good for this character. This character deserves it, and I bet people that read the book probably feel that way too. It's pretty awesome. And the last battle with Voldemort, to be honest, when it first happened, when how Voldemort died is very controversial. But when I did, this is literally me. When I first saw him die like that, I was like, oh, I thought he was just gonna fall and collapse because he doesn't have a heart. I mean, he doesn't have a soul, so he's just a husk. So once it's gone, he's just a body on the floor. And guess what? Everyone that probably read the books would be like, yeah, that was in the books. Yeah, I know. I found that out like last year. And when I found that out, I was like, really? Really? I think it was last year that I found out. But when I did found out, I was just like, are you serious? I'm like, so everything that I didn't even have to read the books to know that some of the stuff that should have been in the movies was in the books. So there was that. And Dumbledore was part. I mean, Voldemort was probably part of the other bodies that they killed from the battle and everything like that. Not one of their friends, but one of their you know throws from the Death Eaters. Just throw them in the dead pile of the Death Eaters. I think that's where Voldemort went. I believe. Um, I could be wrong, but moving on. I think this is a great ending to this movie, to this franchise. You literally have Harry, Ron, and Hermione leading the children to Hogwarts, and then seeing their kids walk, literally just driving off to their adventure. Actually, they don't have adventures at all when you read The Cursed Child, or you know about The Cursed Child, but that's another story for another day. So I think this stuff is great. I think this whole franchise is great. Does it have flaws? Yes, but overall, it's amazing. This franchise is literally like Star Wars, like the MCU. It's they done it. This is what they did, and if they ever remake this, a lot of people are gonna hate it. They're gonna hate the fact that this is gonna be remade. You know? Hey, some people say that, hey, if Scream ever gets remade, automatically, and if Final Destination gets remade, automatically that's zero creativity in Hollywood. Like, there's nothing left. There's literally, like, nothing left anymore after that. You know? And you can't really blame someone when they say that. But at the same time, it's like, you still have other movies that, like this, if they remake it, you'd be like, what are they going to do? That's why I would agree more for them to do a TV show than just remake the whole franchise as a movie. That's just me as a Harry Potter fan, because I would love to see more of these characters, and probably in series form, TV series form. That way we can get more stuff and maybe new stuff along the way. That'd be fucking awesome. You know, some of the stuff that the movies couldn't touch upon, maybe the TV series will touch upon, if whenever they ever do it or some shit like that. If they ever do it, which I doubt it, because there's other shit that I already know that's happening to this planet, so that doesn't even matter. I mean, matters, but it's not related to this video, so there you go. But I overall, let's go. Sorry, that's pretty loud. But this is like 15 unpopular opinions of 15 unpopular opinions from Harry Potter internet. So here we go. I'm going to try to put the volume up a bit. So
Harry Potter and some of the unpopular opinions floating around the internet regarding the franchise. Harry Potter casts a wide net and is approachable to all sorts of different people in many walks of life.
Okay.
It's great that the story is accessible and magical to so many.
Right.
But what comes with such a diverse group of fans is a lot of differing opinions. In today's video, I'm going to be selecting 15 unpopular Harry Potter opinions from the internet and sharing them with you all. 15. Quidditch gameplay. Quidditch is a wizarding sport played on broomsticks, wherein players try to score more points than the opposing team. The game is played by 2 teams of 7 people, 3 chasers, 2 beaters, 1 keeper, and 1 seeker.
Sounds vulgar.
4 balls, a quaffle, 2 bludgers, and a golden snitch. However, despite the game's popularity inside and outside of the magical world, many have questioned the game's scoring system, including one Reddit user. What is the point of a sport where people are playing for a point here and there, but then one player grabs a ball, scores 1,000,000 points, and ends the game? Of course, catching the snitch is not technically an instant win. It only strongly suggests a win, as catching it results in 150 points.
Exactly.
The books have 2 main adverbs. For those unaware, an adverb is a word that modifies a verb, an adjective, another adverb, or even a whole sentence. Adverbs often end in ly, but some look exactly the same as their adjective counterparts.
I bet they do.
The criticism floating around the internet here is that Rowling simply filled her books with too many of these adverbs, perhaps running the risk of being overly descriptive. I certainly don't agree with this one, as I for one am a fan of descriptive texts, particularly...
I want to say something right now. I don't like the books because they're too specific. Go fuck off. In a book, you need to be a lot specific, to be quite honest. Hey, to be honest, guys, when I was writing my little novel type of thing, and I was just showing, the teachers and everything like that, you know what they kept telling me? Be more Pacific, 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 be more Pacific. You motherfuckers. Shit. God.
First released, we didn't have the visual aid of the films, causing us to instead rely on our imaginations. 13. Hermione should have ended up with Victor Crumb.
I disagree.
This is a weird one. As we know, Hermione ends up going to the
That's
Yule Ball
stupid.
with Victor Crumb, Durmstrang student and Triwizard Tournament contestant. The unpopular opinion voiced here is that Hermione should have actually ended up with Victor Crumb instead of Ron. This one, to me, makes absolutely no sense.
If you can't hear it, I'm sorry. There's people in the background watching a fucking fight, boxing fight. But here, I went back a bit.
Durmstrang student and Triwizard Tournament contestant. The unpopular opinion voiced here is that Hermione should have actually ended up with Victor Crumb instead of Ron. This one, to me, makes absolutely no sense.
Right.
I mean, Hermione spent the entire Yule Ball trying to get him to pronounce her name correctly.
Right.
For goodness sake.
Thank
12.
you.
The movies are better than the books. This one's going to rustle a lot of feathers. And just remember...
I'm not going to say anything about that.
Opinion, but the unpopular opinion of a select few on the internet. One Reddit user said the following. I know they removed things that were in the books, changed some plots, blah blah blah, but when you take the books on their own and the movies on their own, the movies are just better. Some people aren't big readers, they simply prefer to watch films, and I think that they are certainly entitled to their opinion.
Right.
However, what the films did is condense the rich details and plot points of the books,
Yes.
which meant that a lot of things were left out.
Yes.
I love both, just in different ways. 11. Half-Blood Prince is the best movie. If you ask most Harry Potter fans what they thought of the films,
it's not the worst, like I said in part 1. It's not as bad as people made it out to be.
Says Half-Blood Prince. However, not everyone feels that way, and some have taken to the internet to openly express their openness towards the Half-Blood Prince. Just maybe not for the reasons you expected. My favorite Harry Potter movie is Half-Blood Prince. It's a terrible adaptation, but I think it's filled with so much teenager drama, it's actually funny and has so many memorable moments. I can't say I share the same opinion, however, I still enjoyed the movie.
Right.
It's not as much as some of the others. 10. Neville should have been the chosen one.
I agree, and he disagrees. Neville should have been always the chosen one. If you disagree...
dies, with the power to vanquish the Dark Lord. However, some feel that Neville, who was also born at the end of July, would have been a better chosen one. Neville is better than Harry. Neville is more caring, courageous, and dependable. Harry did a lot of the legwork because he was labelled the chosen one, but Neville was the one who destroyed the final Horcrux in the end, allowing Voldemort to be killed. Neville's a great character, but I think he was perfect right where he was. 9.
Rubbish!
The Fire is irrelevant.
That is true.
An interesting one, particularly as the Goblet of Fire is one of the longest.
It just feels irrelevant.
Books, though not the longest. The argument here is that the Goblet of Fire...
And Voldemort comes back in that. It's sad.
...eliminated from the franchise, and not much would change. One internet goer said the following. Book film number 4 was irrelevant, and can be skipped on rereads and rewatches without being confused. However, others were quick to point out that the Goblet of Fire shows how Voldemort came back to life, which is a rather integral plot point. 8. The Philosopher's Stone is the worst movie. Now, I take this one personally, particularly as The Philosopher's Stone is one of my favourite films.
Me too.
The opinion in question here suggests that the first installment of the film franchise was fundamentally weak, and that every other installment afterwards was an improvement. However, the first film's faithfulness to the events of the novel, paired with the immense
without the first one,
nostalgia, makes it one of
if the first one sucked so bad,
7.
then why they became a phenomenon the way it was? They wouldn't have made no other ones if one sucked.
Is no easy feat.
Even if they were going to make more, you know?
Come on. The story's epilogue, I didn't think that it was the worst thing in the world. I think I was more so just distraught that the story was coming to an end. However, the unpopular opinion here is that the epilogue wasn't just not bad, it was good. I certainly don't agree with this one, but I also don't think that the epilogue...
I agree. I mean, I like the ending, so...
6. Dumbledore was manipulative. Dumbledore was the beloved Hogwarts headmaster of our childhoods. He was the same headmaster that took a killing blow from Snape atop the astronomy tower, bringing a tear to many fans' eyes. However, not everyone was upset about Dumbledore's demise.
He deserved it! No.
That Dumbledore was actually an extremely manipulative person who didn't truly care about anyone else in the story. This is reinforced by a statement expressing that Dumbledore put those that he was close to in danger.
That's not wrong.
Good.
That's not wrong.
This is a tricky one, and I can certainly see how some would look at Dumbledore through this lens. However, at the end of the day, I think he's great.
It's all ruse. He's trying to make you think so. He's trying to make you think so.
The Time Turner was a cheap plot device. The Time Turner was a magical device used for time travel that appeared in the Harry Potter series, notably being used by Hermione in the 93-94 school year. The Time Turner allowed Hermione to take extra classes that her schedule would not otherwise allow.
93-94.
Extremely stressed out Hermione. However, the Time Turner is also later used when Harry saves Sirius Black from the Dementors. Facing imminent death, it looked like Sirius was done for, but thanks to a tip from Dumbledore, Harry ended up using the Time Turner and saving him. Some fans argue that this was a cheap and easy plot device, and that this whole saving Sirius thing should have perhaps been approached differently, more elaborately. 4. Harry's kids' names. In the epilogue, we see Harry sending his children to Hogwarts.
Prisoner of Azkaban.
Familiar scene in platform 9 3/4. There are a lot of familiar things.
To me, the time traveling aspect is just an icing on the cake.
James Sirius, Lily Luna, and most notably, Albus Severus. Though the Potterverse is a little conflicted on the intentions of Snape and Dumbledore over the course
to me, it's like,
films,
you mean to tell me I get to spend more time with this world?
His son
you know?
after them was meant to paint them in a positive light.
I don't know.
However, one opinion floating around the internet is that they were undeserving of this honor, and that Harry should have instead named his son after people who were always there for him.
No.
Like Hagrid, Remus, or even Arthur Weasley.
Nope.
3. Voldemort had the saddest backstory.
Yeah.
Voldemort isn't the type of character that's meant to be given
I agree.
sympathy. He's a psychopath, a murderer, and the primary antagonist in the story. He makes everyone's life harder, and his very presence threatens the sanctity of the wizarding world.
Mm-hmm.
Most people truly don't care about Voldemort and his feelings,
Right.
or rather, lack of feelings. But one interesting opinion floating around the internet is that Voldemort had the saddest backstory of them all. Abandoned at an orphanage by a mother who died shortly thereafter, Voldemort certainly had a rough start.
Mm-hmm.
The stance here is that Voldemort's actions were, though inexcusable and heinous,
Right.
rooted in hurt and tragedy, rather than pure evil.
Mm-hmm.
2. Draco Malfoy deserved better. Draco Malfoy was a pure-blood British wizard that hailed from the Malfoy family. More importantly, he was a Slytherin student at Hogwarts, and essentially, Harry's rival. Draco makes a poor
A
first
perfect
impression
rival,
in both books
to be
and
honest.
films, and he's portrayed as the quintessential bully. As the books develop, Draco gets
I mean, you gotta
darker
admit,
and
J.K.
darker, struggling.
You gotta admit, J.K. Rowling watched anime. Because if she didn't watch anime, she would never made... She would have never made the rival for Harry. And most people might be like, oh, but that's always in the hero's journey type thing. Well, of course. But they always have it in anime. That's for a reason. Did you know? Even NASA knows this. Did you know the hero's journey is actually galactic? You know, just a little food for thought if you want to learn a little something today. But if you don't care, then, you know, that's fine. But yeah, it's a galactic thing. That's why a lot of people resonate with it and a lot of people like it. If you don't like it, then you don't like it. But understand why people like it, you know? So.
With the immense pressure placed on him by his family and the Death Eaters.
For real.
By the time the books, films end, Draco isn't painted as evil anymore, but he also didn't really get a redemption arc. The argument here is that Draco Malfoy became the person that he was because he was a product of his environment,
Mm-hmm.
that he had no choice. And what this means from an opinion standpoint is that Draco simply deserved better.
He did.
And I think that's a fair opinion. Number 1, Michael Gambon was better than Richard Harris. If you didn't know already,
Agree.
2 actors played Dumbledore. First Richard Harris, who played him in the first 2 films, and later Michael Gambon, who picked up the rest of the films after Harris died. The argument here is that Gambon was a better Dumbledore than Harris, and though this is quite a divisive topic, I think that a majority of people prefer Harris, as he is generally considered to be a closer representation
I mean, yes,
of what
Harris.
is depicted in the
So,
books.
yes.
However, evidently, not everyone shares this opinion, and some have expressed their support for Gambon in the role,
Of course.
explaining that they could never have imagined Harris in the more action-packed.
I mean, you're right. Or I can't imagine him being more the action-packed role. I'll be honest with you. I thought the same way when I was a kid. Because imagine the Dumbledore from Harry Potter 1 and 2 fighting Voldemort from the 5th movie. You would have been laughing your ass off and not taking it seriously, to be quite honest. You wouldn't? I think I would. I think I would have laughed my ass off. The thing is, who knew? Who wouldn't know? We could debate, we can talk, we can speculate, but we don't know at the end of the day because it didn't happen. It happened in another timeline, in another different dimension and shit like that, but it didn't happen here. So what? So how will we know? How will we know? It's a it's an aspect that drives people crazy sometimes, but makes people believe more and makes people want to theorize way more. And just like that video said, let's all agree to not be creative again.
Sequences. I, for one, like them both.
Me too.
Just in different ways.
Me too.
And that's it for this video. Remember, these are not my opinions. These are just some of the opinions of the internet. What do you guys think? Do any of these have merit?
I think it's rubbish.
Which do you agree with? Which do you not agree with? Comment down below.
I think it's I think they're all not bad theories and everything like that. Some of them I disagree with, some of them I agree with. Which theories that you agreed with? And if you couldn't hear it because of the background and shit, I apologize. I completely apologize. I'll try to put the volume up and everything like that so you guys can hear it. But again, if you can't hear it, I apologize. I didn't mean for that to happen. So, hey man, I can't control other people's actions. So, there's that, you know. But, let's see. Let's look at another Harry Potter theory, to be honest, that I watched with, and I didn't, and I haven't really talked about it, to be honest. Maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. Nah, I probably shouldn't, to be honest. I was going to, but, so, yeah, never mind. Hold on. Alright. Hold on. Okay. So, hold on for a minute. Alright, I'm sorry about that. I know I'm going off and off with that, but there's noises that I don't want you guys to hear noises. So I'm like, you know, so, yeah, you see? So, I don't want to make you guys hear all of that crap, you know? So, you already probably heard a lot of noises as it is, you know? So, after I gave my speculations, after I gave my overview of it from part 1 and everything like that, as much as I tried to do it quickly, but I didn't, obviously. I mean, it was an hour long, no shit. But, it was for a reason, you know, to get my thoughts out there. Not to get my full honest thoughts. Oh, now you're doing your full honest thoughts? I know, right? My full honest thoughts on the Harry Potter series. This franchise, again, is wonderful. This franchise is literally right next to the Star Wars franchise. If you're talking about a big franchise, you have to talk about the Harry Potter franchise. If you're talking about Star Wars, you need to talk about Harry Potter. Yes, in the MCU. If you're not talking about those 3 things, then you're not talking about any other franchises. And I'm talking about big franchises with other movies, not just, you know, 3 movies, other movies. You know, yeah, 3 movies can make you into a franchise and everything like that, but it just helps you do other. I mean, it's just something about the franchise. With this franchise, it's different from any other franchise. Obviously, hold on. So, obviously, this franchise is different from any other franchise, obviously, but not just that. Look at it as a way, like, it's funny. I'm not saying these are similar to it, but when you look at a franchise like Kingdom Hearts or a franchise like Avatar, The Last Airbender series, you know, Avatar, The Last Airbender series. Those 2 series, if you look at it, they're not so different from the Harry Potter series. They're not so different. They have different stuff about them, but overall, they're not so different from each other, you know? I'm not saying because they have things that are like magical and all of that shit. Not just that, and not just because it rules in fantasy or some shit like that. No, it's not just that. It's just that it goes into, it's hard to explain, mainly because when you watch these franchises, if you even watch them or even know about them, you will understand what I'm trying to convey in a way with how these franchises are. And again, it's kind of, I don't know how to say it, because these franchises have, especially the 3 that I'm talking about, like Harry Potter, Avatar, The Last Airbender, and Star Wars. These 3 franchises, like, obviously other franchises too, and Kingdom Hearts, like I talked about. Yeah, Kingdom Hearts, Avatar, and Harry Potter. these three franchises, they have something in common, that the hero goes through something that we can all relate to in a way, in some way, shape, or form. We might not relate to them as like, oh, they have magic. Oh, I can't relate to that. No, we relate them in a way because we can see ourselves into them, and that's why these stories will last for a lifetime and forever, because we know these stories and we relate to them. You know, it's like retelling an old story about the Titans, the Egyptian gods, or the Greek gods and everything like that. I want to tell you one thing, guys. Look at the Transformers movie again. You guys might not like the Transformers movies, but guess what? Those Transformers movies are actually telling the story of the Egyptians. I'm not kidding you. Yes, they're telling the story of actually not even the Egyptians. They're telling you the story of actually um the people that are originally from this planet. That's what the movie is telling you. And this is not the only movie that does it. Other movies do it too. And that's why the Harry Potter franchise, that's why the Star Wars franchise, and that's why the MCU, and that's why Avatar: The Last Airbender. That's why a lot of people like about it. Something inside their core, inside their subconscious, inside their spirit or soul, whatever you want to call it, whatever you have, basically, it relates to you. Why? Because there's a reason why it relates to you. It relates to you because you saw that shit in previous lifetimes. So that's when you see it, you'll be like, it's that. Either you'd be like, huh, that looks familiar, or you just be like, oh my god, like that. That's a little food for thought. I'm not going more deep into it. That's just a little something. Some people might be like, oh, you're talking about a little bit of spiritual stuff and all that. But that's just common shit, to be honest. So that's just me. That's just me as a person. So I rolled a nice blunt. But moving on with the Harry Potter franchise, they used to call me Harry Potter because look at this skull right here. All right, look about. You probably can't see it. Hold on. You see that? That scar right there. Had that scar. And I used to wear glasses too as a kid. So people used to call me Harry Potter. I used to hate that. So it's funny that I used to hate being called in that, but looking back at it, it's kind of funny. It is. It's funny, especially some of the stuff that I know now about myself and everything like that. Oh my god, like it's fucking hilarious in my opinion. So the so many people have not just talked about the Harry Potter series, obviously, and not also having not just also gone in depth and everything like that, especially with some of the political stuff in Harry Potter. Yeah, the people have went through that route, and I'm like, huh, and when you look at it too, you'll be like, holy shit, and and it's not political, and I'm not just talking about political things either, because people have done it with Star Wars, you know, so and and sometimes it's a little bit hinted in the Legend of Korra and the Last Airbender sometimes. Well, mostly a little bit of the Legend of Korra with the religious aspect sometimes. Not the spiritual. I'm talking about the religious. There's a fucking difference. So these franchises show what what we enjoy about what we enjoy about character development and what we enjoy about franchises that take these characters and literally progress them. Again, going back, I think I said this in part one. We've seen these characters since they were babies. Some of us have grown up and watched these actors grown up being these characters. How many, again, going back, how many franchises, this franchise has not, I was going to say the audacity, but this franchise has the luxury to have actors that can come back and still play the same characters that they played since they were fucking 6, 7, or 9 years old. Okay? And that's commitment. That's dedication. That is dedication, and that is hard. Especially, you know how Hollywood is. Especially the way I know how I know how Hollywood is. I just need to say one thing. You don't know what these kids, now adults, went through back in the day. So let's just say that right now. Most people are like, I don't want to think about it. Hey, man. Many actors that we like, for example, like Macaulay Culkin, he's seen some shit that he's already talked about, and many people still don't want to believe it because people think that, oh, you know, Hollywood is so, you know, all Grimmel and all that shit. This is not 2015. Don't be naive anymore. We don't live in that age anymore. Seriously, we don't. If you're still trying, it's 2021, almost 2030. If you're gonna be naive now, might as well just send your social security card, give it to the bank, and literally go to Africa and live with the animals at that point. Seriously. And to be honest, that's not a bad thing. It's just that right there, if you don't know how to survive out in the wild, you're going to die. So that's why I would have done with you. Be like, oh, you think you could do this? Well, take this away from you, and now you can do that. But hey, I can't do that because everyone has a freedom of thing. Everyone has freedom. But that's just me as a person that would teach someone a lesson. And most people would be like, "Oh, that's terrible if you would have been a god." But if you guys watch my videos, you would have been like, "But aren't they many gods?" Yes, there's a lot of gods, not just one. Why am I getting into that? Because most people are like, "Oh, that's religious." I want to tell you one thing. Does Harry Potter believe in religion? No. Kind of loud, because all the shit you see in Harry Potter, they would think it's all religion and shit like that, all miracles and shit like that. Kind of like those already fan theories and speculations of like why they don't show themselves to the Muggles. And yes, there's been a battle between them, the Muggles and the Witch and Wizards, and they have lost because they used firearms, basically. So that was that. So what we are told. So, you know. But I don't know what else I could talk about this franchise. I think I talked about more as what I've already talked about. I think I talked about as much as I want to. I mean, and from what from what we could see, maybe later on in the future with the Harry Potter video game, it doesn't sound good right now with the Harry Potter video game, mainly because some of the stuff I'm hearing is not as good as what as I'm hoping that it should not be. Not the delay point. It's just there's other stuff that I'm hoping. I mean, I'm hoping that's not true. But if it is, this Harry Potter game is going to be a disaster, and it's sad. Because Harry Potter to me is an easy way to make a video game. Look at the Game Boy game. Look at the first PlayStation 1 games. Take those games and make them a foundation to what you can do. And Harry Potter game is really good as an RPG game. Some people might be like, "Oh, I like it better more as an adventure game." I like it more as an RPG. It works so better as an RPG. Why? Because you can get more of the story from the book into the narrative. That's why when you see the adventure type styles of Harry Potter, to me it's a easy way out to not make it into an RPG, because then that way you will have to force yourself to look at the book and actually make a story around the game with the book and actually show what's in the book, basically. Kind of like what the Game Boy Color did, which I would respect the Game Boy Color for doing, because they did. The fact that they done that just shows that is the definitive version to play the Harry Potter games, at least the first two games. And obviously, the Prisoner of Azkaban for Game Boy Advance is also good too. That's also a turn-based RPG, classic turn-based, really good game. And then they kind of fucked up a little bit with To be honest, I mostly played the whole Harry Potter series. Mostly not the whole ones, but some of them in the games. I played Harry Potter, the first Harry Potter game. Played on PlayStation 1. I didn't play the second one. I played the second one on Game Boy Advance. Then eventually, I didn't play Prisoner of Azkaban because I never found it or never, you know. Eventually, I did found it, but it took me a while to find that game. Then eventually, I got Goblet of Fire for like Christmas when I was a little kid, and I love that game. I do. I got Goblet of Fire. A lot of people don't like Goblet of Fire for the, as the game itself. A lot of people don't like Goblet of Fire, but to be honest, if you look at the Game Boy Advance version, to be honest, as a Harry Potter game, and them adapting it to a movie, it's not bad because if you look at it and you think about it as if it came around during the NES era, it's perfect. It literally is perfect, going through stages and everything like that. So if it was for the NES back in the day, it would have been perfect. But if since it released now and it came out on Game Boy, I'd be like, yeah, okay, fine. But then they use the same style for the main fucking systems like PlayStation and shit like that, which I'm just like, what are you doing? This type of style game is great for handheld and all that because it's archaic and everything like that. That's fine. On the go type shit or just an old classic game, that's fine because it's it just old classic style. It makes sense back in the '80s because it was around that time. Now when a game is like that, in my opinion, it should be at least mobile. Uh, um, in my opinion, why? Because you get more bang in your buck, in my opinion, and you can add stuff to platform games that not platforming games but platform games that you just take on the go, handheld games. There you go. I don't know why the word couldn't come out, but I think those would have been great. What else? I didn't get. I eventually did get the other Harry Potter games. I'm not done with collecting the whole Harry Potter games on the DS. I don't have. Deathly Hallows Part 2, and I don't have, what is it called? What is it called? What is it called? Damn it, I always forget the name, and it's always the top of my head, and I always forget it when I talk about it as a movie. Um, oh, oh god, Hot Blood Prince. Shit. Why is it so hard for me to fucking say it? Hot Blood Prince. And I keep repeating myself. I apologize. Fucking idiot. I was going to get the Lego versions of the game, so I don't have to like find a whole bunch of them. But to be honest, guys, I've seen some of the stuff on the Lego versions of Harry Potter. Some people might like them. If you like them, go ahead, like them. Me, I'm staying away from those. They just don't appeal to me. They don't. I don't hate Lego games. For kind of like one of my favorite Lego games is Batman. I love Lego Batman. Lego Batman's fucking awesome. I fucking love that shit. And recently I've been looking at Lego Marvel shit because Lego Marvel looks dope and everything like that. It's just that, and not so long ago I did had the Lego Harry Potter game and I thought it was fun and everything like that because exploring, doing some stuff. It's just that what really makes me buy a game sometimes it's really the bosses, and that's what really robs me sometimes with probably good games because I look at boss fights and I'll be like, if the boss fight doesn't hold up to the quality of the game or anything like that, then fuck this shit or anything. I don't know. I don't know. I always hold a high standard to boss fights. I guess. I don't know. That's just me. That is just me. Or maybe I'm just being a jerk of just you know being not nitpicking, but I guess just being lazy. I don't know. I don't know what to call it. I'm trying to think of it in my top of my head now. I can't think of it. There's just other things in my head that I want to talk about and think about instead of what I'm actually supposed to talk about. Has that ever happened to you? So I'm putting this in here for later. So you guys are not gonna watch me smoke that. Nah, I'm saving that for me, for moi. So I'm looking at the series right now, DVDs, and all I have to say is it's one hell of a ride. Is it worth watching still to this day? Fuck yeah. Does it hold up still to this day? Fuck yeah. It is. It's so worth it. And if you haven't watched it, if you still never watched the Harry Potter series, you owe it to yourself to watch it. You do. You owe it to yourself. If you watch the MCU, if you watch Star Wars, then why wouldn't you watch Harry Potter? If you watch any other series, you should watch this. If you don't, you I don't know what to tell you because to be quite honest, a lot of the whole thing of people being like, oh, women leagues and everything like that. We're so progressive and shit like that. I'm like, fuck off. Around that time, and sometimes people still talk about it, which is stupid. But around that time, when people were talking about it more and more and more, other people were talking about it. Oh yeah, so Sarah Connor is not a badass. What about Hermione Granger? And I'm like, thank you. A character that we've seen since she was a kid, like I said before, these actors, and grew up and we see her progress. And she became a badass. And she was always a badass since the first movie. Okay? She knows she's a great wizard. Witch. She's a great witch. Because she knows how to do magic. She literally is better than both of her friends. And literally, how many times have Ron has said that, hey, if it wasn't for Hermione, we'd be dead. And what is it, Chamber of Secrets? He was like, oh, where's Hermione when you need her? And I think in one of the other movies too, he's like, hey, if it wasn't for Hermione, we literally would be dead. And it's like, it's true. Oh yeah, that was in that was in damn it, I keep forgetting the name again. Half Blood Prince. That was in Half Blood Prince when Harry's about to leave and Ron is just like, where are you going? And then he's like, no, I'm not leaving you. And obviously, Hermione's not leaving. And we're not leaving without Hermione either because we'd be dead without her. And it's true. Without Hermione, they literally would be dead in a day. Without Hermione. So it just shows how much the two main boys need Hermione to be in the group. And I love that. That's just it just shows how much that character is important to the trio. You need a character like that for the trio. The most important you got the main hero, you got the other hero that the main either the main hero always needs to get help with, always sees from wisdom basically, or helps them along the way. Basically, there's always a character like that in like some movies sometimes, especially in adventure movies. So I guess that's it. I really think that's it. If they do the Cursed Child movie, I just hope it's good. Don't do a faithful adaptation of the fucking novel, because the novel is shit in itself. There are some good aspects of the book, but there's some things that has to be changed and could be changed and will be changed. It has to be changed because there's a certain actor that's dead, so you can't really do the whole Snape thing in that movie version. So that's kind of like stealing away from that. But at least we get that movie moment anyways with Snape. So just leave it the way it is. And the whole time turner thing. Yeah, it's they died in the fifth novel, but in the movies they didn't destroy them at all. Like I said in part one. So there you go. The fifth movie is probably going to be a mess. Oh man, I can see it right now. But hey, if it's not awesome, let's just hope that it's not. I'll see you guys later.